completed. Also, you should know there is a 10 calendar day appeal period starting once a decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway. Our office administrator will be happy to answer any questions that you have with respect to that process. So we thank you in advance for your cooperation, and we'll begin with the first item, which is concerned with installing solar panels on a house at 9 Daisy Lane. Linda Palmer is the owner, and Paul Eaton from Trinity Solar is the agent.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Paul Eaton.
Right.
So we're proposing to put 17 panels on the back of the home. They're black on black duo panels.
Are there any abutters here?
And by placing the panels on the back of the home, they're not visible by any of the neighbors or driving by?
Doesn't appear to be in the photos I've seen.
Right.
Make a motion to accept the application?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good, thank you. So, we have a couple of things we have to sign off on here.
He's the next one, too.
Okay. Let me just get this together, and you can sign the other two. Good, thanks. So, we'll get this one out of the way. Okay, the next item is concerned with installing solar panels at 108 Starbuck Lane. Francis Golliff is the owner, and Paul Eaton again from Trinity Solar. So,
We have 16 panels here, same situation. In the back of the home, can't see them visibly from the street, any street. It's black on black.
I would move to approve.
Just check for abutters. No abutters? I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, now,
Just sign a couple of sheets up there. Rich will have them in a moment, the chairman will have them.
the other one is where? That's this one. Good, thank you. We'll keep them all straight. Great. Good luck with it.
You too.
Okay. So, sign that. Okay. Item 3 is a bedroom addition at 65 Camelot Road. Robert and Susan Rich are the owners, and Brian Basler is the agent. Good evening, Basil.
I'm Brian Bassler, and we're proposing to put an addition 16 by 18 off of the rear of the house, master bedroom suite, and a 12 by 8 bump out on the side of the house, which is the south side.
I haven't seen you in a while,
It's been a while.
and I hadn't seen your father either. He appeared here last week. That was a bigger surprise.
I wonder why he was here.
He was not in a butter, but lives on the same street, I think, as to what the activity was. So he had an interest in it. Okay. So.
I think we have the reduced side, the reduced,
Oh, that's it? That's what we're getting. We're really cutting down.
small one.
Are there any abutters present? Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
So, okay. Usual, let's see. You agree to let us know if you make any changes. 13.
13th, time flies.
Great, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Did Ryan?
The next item is concerned with a 10 by 14 shed at 85 Starbucks Lane. Andrew and Janet Goulet are the owners. Oh, okay.
I'm Andrew Garrelay, and pretty simple, just a 10 by 14 shed in the backyard. I want to match the siding on the house. I was in front of you I guess a year ago, actually, about exactly a year ago, about having my siding redone on my house and everything. I've had all that work done, so this would match that siding. I actually have some leftover siding from the front of the house, so I figured I'd do the entire shed in that.
Good.
And then the roof would match as well.
You building it yourself?
Yep.
And are there any abutters present?
Make a motion to accept the application?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You need to sign a piece of paper up here.
So if you, it says that you're going to build it according to plan. If there's making any changes, let us know in advance.
Sure.
And if you sign it here, then I'll put the date and everything in. 13. Good, thank you. Good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Nice, should look good. So, the next item is concerned with some modifications to the Crooked Jaw. Chris Kennedy and Sarah Bradburn are potential buyers, and Carol and Edmondson is the agent. The idea is to paint all the exterior doors black and install a new sign. And this is at 186 Route 6A.
Yes.
So, good evening.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Bradburn.
And I'm Chris Kennedy, and first let me thank the four of you for serving on this committee. I know that sometimes that's a very unheralded, but it is such an important position, so I thank you for volunteering to serve the community.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead.
That won't sway us, however.
It was a nice introduction.
Very nice.
No, we're actually about to close on this property on Wednesday morning, and we want to hit the ground running, so to speak. So we're looking to change the color of the door from its current pastel blue to a black, and then change the sign. We are changing the name of the inn as well. It'll be called the Inn on Main, and hence the reason for the new sign, which will also be a black sign with gold lettering.
Good. I won't miss the Crooked Inn. I always had trouble saying it fast.
It was what, excuse me?
Seem to have trouble saying the Crooked Inn fast.
Well, it is Crook Jaw,
Crook Jaw
Yeah.
Inn. So-
but it's like if you have to explain the name of the inn, you're
Right.
already losing.
Right,
Yeah.
You lost half the battle that way.
Right?
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We're so
Beautiful
excited.
property. I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice spot there.
It's
is.
beautiful.
Thirty by 40. Inn on Main. Is there an overall height someplace?
Sir, excuse me?
Si- What's the overall height of the sign?
Oh, we can adjust that, so it
Says
can be the
40
same as
inches for
the
that
current.
pole.
Yes, the picture on here is a little bit misleading, so it's not going to be that tall.
Yeah, it seems,
But the dimensions of the sign are the 30 by 40 inch.
just that compared to the person.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
not to
soaring
scale.
over.
It's definitely
Either
not
a
to
great
scale.
big sign or a very
Right.
small person.
Or a little bitty, no, yeah. It's going to be no higher than the sign is currently.
Good. Nice. Yeah. Crooked Jaw. So, do I hear
Looks nice. Move to approve.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Swing by if you get a chance.
Okay. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
You just need to sign something up.
Yeah, if you're gonna make any changes, let us know in advance. It just says that you agreed to do that. Is it? And,
Excited. Thank you.
You on the phone then.
Yes, we did.
Thank
So we have another shed, again 10 by 14, at 64 Balsam Way. Chris Grant is the owner, and Salt Spray Sheds is the agent. And this evening, we have Chris, I guess.
Nope, we're Don and Andy, we're from Salt Spray Sheds representing Mr. Grant.
Okay.
My name's Andrew Warburton.
Could I have your first and last names, please?
Andrew Warburton.
Don Warburton.
Are there any abutters here?
So cedar shingles. So it looks like it's about 35 feet off the roadway, on the sideline. So, it's good. Any other questions, comments?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You need to sign, I think.
Just need to sign something up with the chairman.
Good. Yes, sir. Here. Can sign it above mine. Okay. Thank you very much. All set? All set? Yep. Good night. Okay. The next item is concerned with construction of a detached barn at 23 Sleeping Dog Path. George and Beth Davis are the owners. thought not. So we'll table it to the end of the meeting, okay?
No.
What?
See, read the note on my, they asked for
That we
They
table
asked for a
to June 10th.
continuance to June 10th because they're not available to attend this evening.
Okay, yep. All right,
So it needs
why
to
don't
be
we do that
tabled.
then?
Till next
Make a
next
motion to
meeting.
table the application until the June 10th meeting.
Second.
Okay,
Thanks.
good. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, that brings us to item 8, which is concerned with solar panels at 41 Wiana Road. Alan and Jane Cutler are the owners, and Neil Holmgren from Solar Rising is the agent. Hi, good evening. Hi.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. For the record, Neil Holmgren from Solar Rising, representing the Cutlers for 41 Wiano Road. Before you tonight is looking for approval for a solar installation. It's a 5.2 kW. It's comprised of 16 modules, which are all black. It's a black frame, black cell, black backsheet. They are orientated on the southeast roof, the front of the house, in 2 squares. And we'd be open for discussion on different arrangements of the modules if the board see fit that it would look more appropriate for the setting.
Are there any abutters present?
Can you say that again about positioning? Are they only on the rear roof? Is that what you're saying?
Nope, they're on the front side of the house, the southeast facing roof. At the moment, we have it in 2 blocks of 8 panels essentially. And talking with the homeowner, Jane, we thought maybe it would be more pleasing to have a block of 6 and then a block of 10 on the roof to the right, have the 10, kind of draw the eye that way towards the bay window.
Yeah, it would be right over the front door, and the bay window would be 10 panels, and the other 6 would be over the double window just to the left.
I have a mock-up of that arrangement if the board would like to see it.
And you should also know that the house is sitting back 55 feet. The point where the lowest wall is, the base of it is 10.5 feet above the road. And then there's another kind of a lift. It's sloped down and then a little lift, and that's 5 feet higher than the road. So there's quite a different setting on the house.
There are no other homes in this neighborhood that have solar panels on the front. They are all on the back.
I think there are actually 2,
On Wiano?
not on Wiano Road, but
Right.
one of them is on, I can't think of the name of it. That's the one. It's not Pompano. There's one on Outward Reach.
That one they did without
Oh,
getting
that was a-
approval. Yeah, that was not, yeah.
That was a
wasn't this
bad
board.
deal. That was a bad deal.
Yeah.
So if it were to please the board, the homeowner is open to doing some mitigation plantings to try to hide the visibility of the house.
To make it more interesting, basically that part of the lawn, the front lawn, has not been landscaped, and I'm looking to do that. In fact, I had met with a lady, Rose, who has been helping people do landscaping and work on this kind of an issue. And she suggested Leland cypress, and I can show you what that might look like if you would like to see it. Would you like to see it?
Here, bring these.
Okay. So I did them some in color and some not in color. Who wants the color?
That's okay, we'll share.
I'll take the knot.
And this would be now, those are 5-foot Lelands. The ones they have in stock right now are actually 5.5, and they have them in stock, and she said she would work with me. Sorry.
It's okay, I'll get it. But you need to speak into a mic. Thank you. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, you might as well have a look at this as well. What I did is to take another view, but it's basically, these are the exact same places as the ones you have.
Thank you.
Now, what we figured is that that would be the structure of the trees first. And then if we needed to put in some with different foliage, like white pines or something like that, just to get a little bit of interest in it, we thought that might be wise as well. But we'll see what you think. And if you are concerned about the abutter across the street, because he would be considered one as well, correct? Who would look onto the house? Can I show you what his, I sat on the front stoop this morning, and this is what.
Do you know what time it was when you took this picture?
That was taken probably 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago. So very little foliage had blossomed at that point.
Right.
It's nothing, that's a massive oak.
You take it at 12 o'clock?
You know, I can actually find out the exact time I went and met with Jane.
I think it was in the morning.
So it was at 11 a.m. on March 6th.
So the ridge line is more or less east-southeast.
Southeast, that's correct, yeah. The azimuth is about 130.
Well, the difficulty with plantings in general is they have a way of being impermanent. The panels would be permanent. The plantings may or may not be, depending on whether they survive, or whether you wind up selling the house and the new owner decides they don't want the plantings. So that's just a general observation about camouflaging solar panels through landscaping. More specifically about Lelands, Lelands have the advantage of being very fast growers, but like most fast growers, they have the disadvantage of being very shallow rooted, and they can topple in a high wind.
Okay.
And I know that because I've had it happen. So you could lose your screen in a nor'easter.
Is it possible to do something, to use something else?
Yeah.
And I'd be open to that as well.
Okay. I'm just.
No,
I'm
I
not
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
saying that I'm opposed to Lelands. That's a cautionary note.
Okay. I must tell you that we intend to stay there, but, you know.
Well,
and I understand.
one thing certain about the future is, you know. because it's uncertain.
That's
So-
correct. That's correct.
I do have concerns about the visibility of the panels from Weano Road. I think that even if you were to plant the lelands, and they would provide some visual distraction from the panels on the roof, nevertheless, the panels would still be visible. So I guess I would like to know if there are alternatives to the placement of the panels so that they would not be as visible from the road.
I mean, we did look into possible arrangements of modules on the back of the house. Unfortunately, the site efficiency
It's not good.
facing northwest just isn't exactly ideal for the customer. The house is, due to the nature of the slope being on the road with some plantings, it wouldn't, the trees wouldn't need to be very tall to really block the visibility. It's a
Right.
one-story home.
It's very difficult, though, if you're setting precedent by if we allow something on the roof here.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable with how folks would perceive that, and I mean, even the snapshot you enclosed of the neighborhood, you can see clearly all the roof lines, and there are no solar panels. And your own comment about the one on Outward Reach being horrible is true.
It
It's on the
is.
front, and it's horrible. I'm not saying yours would be.
No, no.
But I am not, I had to have concerns with the visibility of the panels on the front of a roof.
Yeah.
There are a number of
Do you have
them.
a shared driveway? I'm looking at the
An
driveways.
easement road, yes.
It's tricky because there's a house in the back there, which is lot 135, I guess, 1.22. So they must come up the same driveway. It's like a shared driveway.
Correct.
And then you take a left turn into your garage area.
They would see very little of it, if any, really. And I do have a picture of the, going up the easement road, if you'd like to see that. I have two of them.
Let's see the other picture.
When you first turn onto it.
Right. Yeah, it drops off there.
Toward it, so they would not, the way the house is tipped, they would see it only from the very edge.
Yeah.
Now, I know that there are a number of houses that are on the north side of 6A, like right across 6A from us. And I'm assuming that you would know what these are. There's this one. And the one I couldn't remember in our neighborhood, this is across 6A. This one is also in our neighborhood. This is really close to our house. And I can't remember the name of the road.
Do you know what the area is of that there's a relatively flat roof on the extension coming out in the back?
Of our house?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our sunroom.
Do you know what the area is of that?
14 by 16. But it's got a rubber roof on it. I don't know whether that's wonderful. And there are, as I said, a number of them. We found this one. We found this one.
Yeah.
This is the one I find the most distasteful because of the way the panels are on there. I think that's almost as bad as the green one.
Yeah, the sunroom roof would be, you could put probably 6 or 8 on that section.
It's so flat, though.
Well, in some ways, it might be better, because the other ones are pointing toward the east, and in late afternoon, they don't get anything.
The front, you mean?
Right. See,
Actually, I think we do get
On the front, or?
front.
Yeah, it's an, despite its orientation, it is a efficient site. There's not a lot of shading that affects the panels throughout the day. You know, in a perfect world, every roof would face south, and it would be the back of the house, but these are the parameters we have to work with. We tried to keep the array as neat as possible and set to the right side where the existing vegetation already is, and we're willing to plant more to try to hide it.
yeah, I would think that there's opportunity in the yard. It's a fairly large area. On this, it shows up pretty well.
Ours is all,
For putting a ground mounted.
it's terraced. It's all terraced. And there
It
really
flattens
isn't.
out someplace, doesn't it? Or is the house right on like a ridge that drops
The
off?
house has, well, it is kind of on a ridge, but the rest of it goes straight up. I wish I could have brought that.
Yeah, I didn't drive in there.
And considering the way the sun moves along the back, there's a lot of shade in the back. Along the back line, there's a lot, and
Well,
on the south side.
Trees show up in this picture that are way over here, that are quite distant from this area.
We actually have, from the garage, which you see on the right-hand side, we have 20 feet, and that's it, toward the easement road. And the rest is moving into a garage, a driveway and a garage.
I think I didn't get out there myself. You guys have. And it doesn't look like any possibilities. And it's quite visible, I think, from the front, for sure. But I was,
From the front, it's very visible.
yeah, I was thinking in terms of what might happen with the ground mounted. It's a possibility.
You see space.
This is something we struggle with all the time.
Actually, we thought of that first. We thought, is there some way of doing this? But there really is not. There really isn't.
I mean, I understand you have bylaws you have to maintain, but I think mitigation planting is a good compromise to, what you're trying to do and what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
There is,
so the problem is that it takes a long time to get to the point where it would be effective to put half a dozen or so 5-foot trees.
Actually, one of those is already
Doesn't
there.
do much at all. You need more like 20 trees and 10 years of growth. There's a house on North Main Street in South Yarmouth, and they put lelands along the front of the property, and they put them in, I would say, 5 years ago, and now they're probably 10 foot tall. But
To put really tiny ones in, because we put some tiny ones in along the side, and we actually had to knock them down. They were getting so big.
well, if
we
you
couldn't get
have them
anybody to do
close
it.
to the house, yeah.
They weren't close to the
In
house.
this case, they put them close to the road, and oddly enough, they put a fence between the trees and the road, and so the branches are squeezing through the fence, and it
They're
looks kind of ridiculous. They're big, and so maybe they intend to clip whatever goes through the fence, clip that off. I don't know.
We have that growing into the
It's
back.
weird. I don't know why they did
From
it.
one of our neighbors has a fence, and they put Lelands there, and they're so tall right now. She can't even get them down. She's going to have a cherry picker.
Yeah, right.
And they've been in there for about 4 years.
So it's a hard thing. I would entertain tabling it and then allowing us to sort of walk the property.
That would be great.
Because usually when we go out, we drive there, maybe get out and look around and stay on the road and not walk on the property itself.
Come on the property.
Are you open to the idea of ground-mounted solar panels?
If we can pull this off, and it would get us what we need.
A lot easier to camouflage
Right,
something that's on the ground than
right,
something that's on the roof.
exactly.
All right, so you're open to it, so I move to table.
Well, let's take a look.
A second.
Is it still possible, if that turns out not to be it? Are we out in the
Well, let's
we're
take
in a
it.
boat without a paddle?
We'll come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll take it
and-
one step
and
at a time.
We'll all go out separately and take a look.
That would be great.
That way,
I'd appreciate
Yeah,
that.
in the meantime, we can come back out to the site and look at other possibilities.
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
And-
worth doing.
All right, so I move to table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good,
Thank you.
good.
We appreciate you working with us.
So good, thank you.
Beth, what is the deadline for any new information that needs to be submitted?
The next meeting is June 10th. No, and I didn't bring it with me. The deadline for that meeting is, I'm so sorry. Give me a second. Apologize. I should have that right on the tip of my tongue.
The deadline is May 22nd.
Thank you, May 22nd. yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Good, okay, thank you. Okay.
It's a family affair.
So,
Did you enjoy that Seattle series?
Gosh, it was great, huh?
so the next item is concerned with building a new 3-bedroom home at 37 Bray Farm Road. Elizabeth Ann Curley is the current owner, and Stephen Krupe is a potential buyer. Good evening.
Stephen Kruby.
Hi.
Who
If I
is,
could state their name, that would be great.
Yeah.
You don't need to press anything, you just
Okay.
speak right into the
Yeah,
mic.
terrific. My name is Tom Downey.
Excuse me?
Tom Downey.
Thank you,
This is Steve
And I'm
Krupe.
Stephen Kruby.
thank you.
Tonight, we bring forward the application to build a three-bedroom home on 37 Ray Farm Road, North, for John Thomas and Michelle Downey.
Cheryl Downey?
Michelle
Michelle.
and John
Yeah, we
Thomas.
just need to say it for the record.
Yep. Her parents have been nice enough to get them started, so. The application shows that the house has 3 dormers in the front, 2-bay garage, front entry. Roofing is landmark asphalts, and the siding, they would like to go with cedar impressions with AZAC trim, and they would rabbit the corner boards and any trim that would butt the cedar impressions so that there's no J-channel. And the windows are a Harvey vinyl window, double hungs, and there would be 2 sliding doors and 2 entry doors, one on the side, and the front door has 2 side lights. The chimney that would be existing would mimic the siding elevations with corner boards and siding. And I think the rest is pretty standard as the plan shows. You probably have the plot plan there, so it sits on the lot. The closest corner to the street is 50 feet. The driveway would be a stone driveway, and then there would be natural plantings along the perimeter in the front with grass to the, looking at the house to the right of the driveway. And the color of the cedar impressions that they'd like is sterling gray and white trim, white windows. The house was designed by Robert Therian from Harvard, Mass. He used to operate here on the Cape, so he's familiar with the historical nature of what you would be looking for.
do you have a sample of the siding?
And that's the exact color, that's the sterling gray.
Right.
They've done such a good job with the vinyl sidings these days that it's, unless you're up close, you can't really tell whether it's a wood shingle or not.
The forms that they make this stuff to do it, they use regular shingles to model it.
We're not, that stuff actually costs more money than the cedar does. We want it because of the maintenance of keeping it looking new.
Right. When you put them on, is it, they're like 4-foot-long sections?
That's correct.
Of 3 rows?
Just as you see there, that's correct. And, but the joints are staggered, as you see on the back. So you can't really pick up where they start and stop by looking at them on the facade of a building.
Right.
Like I say, you really have to step up to it to realize that it's a vinyl siding.
Right.
there's no abutters here?
I don't believe so.
Just family.
It's a beautiful neighborhood.
You can always walk down to the farm and see the animals. That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful location.
It is.
And they're very fortunate there. The property is got good elevation. It has a slight slope to it, but when you're at the top of the, where the lot, where the house is centered, it has a great view down, looking down to the farm.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
The right rear corner of the house has a patio area, but the contour of the property really allows nicely for that walkout in the back, so, and then everything will be graded to, up to the house.
So I drove by that area today, but I did not take an inventory of the materials that are used in other homes for the siding. Do you know anything about that?
I think if you had to take a census of what was there, I'd say the majority is white cedars and clapboard. There might be a couple with the siding, but I think the majority is. But of course, the siding in the last few years has come a long ways, you know, so.
Well, there's not a lot of siding facing the street,
No,
which is a good thing.
that's
in my
true. It's,
opinion.
A friend of mine lives 2 doors away.
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah, and I designed an addition to that house about 10 years ago, and it's got cedar shingles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
real cedar, real cedar.
yeah.
Yeah, we generally don't react favorably to vinyl
I know
on the
you
front of
don't.
houses.
But if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah. Good point.
Say, we're not doing it to save money, we're doing it to have that house look nice and stay nice, you know, especially down there with all the moisture and the mold, you could really,
Oh, I
the
know,
the maintenance is a lot easier.
Oh, the case to be made.
Yeah, there's, I guess there are apartments, a complex up on Route 28. They call it the Common, isn't it?
Yarmouth Commons, I believe.
Yarmouth Commons. That's 65 apartments, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom. And I got the opportunity to tour one of those apartments recently. They were showing off what they had done there, and there were people from all over the Cape and some from off Cape visiting for this event. And they had certainteed shingles similar to these, but they were individual shingles because I walked over to it and I went sort of pick one up, you know, with a wooden
Right.
shingle, you can grab it and flip it up a little bit, even if it's only a quarter inch, depending on how stiff they are. And they didn't put them on this way, but they were, I'm pretty sure, individual shingles. And they had all the texture like this has. So, you know, whereas on these, there's a, you know, this is much thicker than you would expect a regular wooden shingle to be. And
well, I
those
guess
other
it's-
ones were very realistic. So subsequently, I went online and looked them over, and they really did look good.
And they're an individual vinyl shingle?
Yeah,
No kidding?
from Certainty.
Certainty.
Yeah. To make them both ways, you can put these panels up, or you can do them single. They were very well lined up and everything. And look, you step back and you think they were real shingles, real wooden shingles.
So they must give you various widths then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they had about the same exposure as this.
Your thoughts on this particular siding?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy about switching over into vinyl siding, because once it happens, it goes all over the place. We had someone, must be 2 years ago, that came in, they wanted to do a whole house in vinyl siding, and they told me what kind it was, and there were a couple of houses done in Harwich, and I went out to look at them, and I didn't think they looked very realistic. So we turned them down, and they ended up putting clapboards on the front and regular white cedar shingles around the sides, which in cases, you know, if you dip the shingles,
Right.
they last a long
They
time.
do have a warranty with them as well.
In compared, and that's what a lot of people are doing now. There's a house, they put an addition on it on Wood Road, on the corner of Wood Road and, what is it, Susan or something, up near St. Pius X Church. And they dipped them. I stopped and pulled in the driveway and talked to the guys who were putting the shingles up.
Right.
And he said, oh yeah, they're all dipped, and they really stand up well. They look
Yeah.
great.
Because you can get them with one or two coats, and the two coats is a bigger warranty than the one coat. And,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a good job.
They use the right material, so they sink in.
Right.
People, there was a case recently in Sandwich that made the front page of Cape Cod Times. It was a two-story colonial historic house. It was built in 1680, I think. And they had painted the wooden shingles, and the paint doesn't stick.
No,
I mean, if you're going to do it, use stain to begin with.
that's right.
And then you're best to really put on dipped ones, dip them in the proper material.
Without a doubt, because the shingles are so wet these days anyway, so, you know, the pre-dipped ones, they bake and they dry them out, so
Yeah.
they will accept the stain real well, there's no doubt. Yeah.
So because of the orientation of the house, you really aren't going to see the back at all from any vantage.
No,
Will you see either the left or right side?
you'll see the right side coming up from
The right side.
from the farm.
Yeah, a lot of siding on the right side.
Yeah.
I mean, you won't see it all, but you do see that projection that comes out.
Yeah, the design of the house is nice. My
Yeah,
only,
the design, I don't have a problem with
my
it.
only issue is the material, the vinyl.
Yeah.
Would you,
Looks real good.
would you entertain that single vinyl, the single shingle vinyl?
I'd like to see real cedar on the front. And there's not a lot of it, so from a maintenance point of view, that wouldn't be too much of a cross to bear, I'm hoping.
They'd be agreeable to the front and cedar and.
I'm
real-
sorry?
I think we'd be agreeable to do the front and cedar, if we could keep the rest of the vinyl, like you say, the maintenance would, be much easier.
I think that's a reasonable compromise.
How do we feel about the one side that's
Coming up,
visible?
visible from the farm, coming up from the farm.
Yeah.
And you plan on retaining,
As much as we can as far as the
Okay.
trees, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is the garage doors are here, so they would put cedar on this side, right, facing
yeah,
Playfarm Road.
the more prominent aspect.
Yeah, and then they put these on the back part. And afterwards, and, argument for the next one. That wouldn't be very visible. That would do it.
So,
Yeah, yeah, if you did the front of the house with dipped shingles,
Cedars.
and then do the plastic vinyl around the,
Oh, that would be very good.
Besides.
That'd be great, thank you. We appreciate that very much.
good.
move to approve as amended?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So let's get some paperwork started.
You probably got to sign something, I think.
And the sides will all be the,
Yeah, they all end up the same color, basically, you can,
You're right, the colors would match, yes, yeah.
There's a Cape Cod gray that's like the same
Yep.
exact color as that.
right.
yep.
Right.
I have a sample of that at the office, in my office.
You made out good. You made out good.
When's closing?
So it was a surprise, well, one didn't show up.
We're on the way there.
Wednesday, this will all be ready.
Awesome.
That'll work. It's beautiful design. Right here. Yeah.
Two properties in Dennis, and people swear that it's the Dennis thing, until I get up and touch it.
I think you have to sign this.
Yeah, here you go.
Thank you.
And you'll have to sign the yellow sheet and obviously,
Yeah, we're on our way now.
yeah, Bob's writing
You
out.
go to the games?
Bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
It's a good outing. I'm lucky I have a sister. Gets a lot of friends, she's an insurance company, so every once in a while, she
Ah,
tag along.
good tickets, nice.
That's why insurance is so expensive these days.
Okay, so,
Okay, so we'll have real dipped cedar shingles on the front and the vinyl around the rest. So I would sign it here.
Thank you.
All set.
Good luck.
Thanks
It's
for
gonna be great.
good luck with it.
Yeah. Go Sox.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
You're welcome.
That is SOX, isn't it?
opposed to STCK. Wouldn't look like it if you didn't.
So,
Yeah.
other business.
Wait, Richard,
What?
we didn't sign the thing.
I thought you did. I sent, did I give it to you? Oh, here you go.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you for catching that.
I signed it,
I never mean to
Right.
put it down.
That was it. That was it.
All right.
Jane, got it? Oh, you were busy. I placed it down, and you were still writing.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's your excuse and you're sticking with it.
so after you finish writing, I just picked it up and put it in the pile.
Well, it makes me feel good because of my gaffe a few meetings ago, so.
Good, all right. Now we go to the other business. This was something which I got a few months ago. The push to put solar panels on buildings is getting stronger and stronger. And this was a case up in Lexington Historic District. They have a Historic District Commission up there. Probably they had that one long before we came about. And this takes you through the appeals and appeals. So I asked Beth to give everybody a copy of it. They can take the time and go through it. So it's an educational activity. But it's interesting. There's a volunteer breakfast coming up May 15th.
Yep.
And breakfast is 8 o'clock, and my appointment with the cardiologist is 8:45, I think. So it's one of those every 6 months. So I won't be there very early if I get there at all. But
They're
these,
starting it early this year. Usually it's, I think, 8:30 to 10:30.
Mm.
They moved it.
yeah, and it's always good. They have good
And they changed
food.
the location as well.
Right, it was at
Yeah.
St. Pius last year and the
Yeah.
year before, I think.
Yep.
So they go into Flax Pond. So if you're able to do it, good. It'll be, I think, the first one I miss in a long time. And I exchanged a couple of emails with John, because he's got a vested interest in 6A, looking great. And he's gone to the meetings that they've had. And he had some concern that the ideas they were putting out would be modernizing the way too much. And so he was suggesting to Kathy Williams that we, as a historic committee, gets involved with that.
Well, this is, I spoke to Kathy, and what she's soliciting comments from the different historic committees, like Old Kings Highway and the Historical Commission, for what would be appropriate if they were to even go forward with anything. These meetings and the design that they're presenting actually is the result of a culmination of the last couple of years, the meetings that they've had on 6A, and some people are saying, oh, we need crosswalks, or the safety issue, we need this, we need that.
Yeah.
So they spent all this money, they had these people do this survey, and from what I understand, the presentation's great. I'm going to the next one, which is May 15th. And it shows what it looks like now, what it would look like if they made the changes based on what was requested from like 2 years ago from the public. And
This room, town hall hearing?
yes, this is going to be, the next one's here in the hearing room. And they get the sense that really people they don't want anything. They're not asking for, they're not as adamant as they were the last time. However, that was just the first meeting, so this is the next one. But not as a board to make a decision. This was just to go and give input as you see fit on any decisions that may be coming
So what
down the
time is
road.
this meeting? The 15th?
It is at 6 PM.
6.
Yep, May 15th, 6 PM. And then the last meeting is May 22nd at 2 in the afternoon at House Hall at the First Congregational Church. I think I sent this to everybody, so go back to your emails, or I actually gave you all a hard copy of it too, so you have it there, just as a reminder. There's nothing set, nothing has been, there's no proposal on the table to do anything. This is just giving feedback to the residents that were asking the questions years back.
Yeah, I went to a meeting, I think it was at the Firehouse.
I think that's the
On
one I went to
6A.
as well.
Must be 2 years ago,
Yeah,
maybe 3.
that's why, yep.
It's quite a while ago.
There was a lot of talk and back and forth, and these
Right.
people wanted this, and these people wanted that, and
Yeah,
again, it was the first meeting, it was 10
Nothing could
a.m.
really get done at that particular meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
So they tried to organize the thoughts and get some visuals for people to see. This is based on conversation. So anyway, so that's what that's about. And I did get back in touch with John and explain that's what it is. She wasn't looking for the board as a whole to sit and make any decisions, so.
Right.
Just be careful you don't talk amongst yourselves and voice opinions when you're in a quorum.
Good. Okay.
So yeah, that's it for me.
That's
Next
it?
meeting, June 10th.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.